Welcome to the Skeptic Zone, the podcast from Australia for science and reason.
Yes, it's the Skeptic Zone podcast, episode number 818 for the 9th of June 2024. Richard Saunders coming to you from Piedmont Street in Oakland, California. I'm out for a nice walk around one of the interesting neighborhoods in this part of the world. Coming up on this week's show, I talked to my old friend Dr Eugenie C about the upcoming SkeptiCal conference convention coming up online. So no matter where you are around the world, you can take part in SkeptiCal. Find out who's attending, when it is, all sorts of details coming up with Dr Eugenie C. After that, our guest reporter Rob Palmer continues his interviews from the Triangle Skeptics. Some weeks ago, this week, Rob interviews famed skeptical investigator Kenny Biddle and attendee Jane Selkie. Then we have Adrienne Hill all the way from Canada with this week's newsletter from Australian Skeptics, written by Tim Mendham. A very musical car drives by. Then to round off this week's show, the Trove segment looks at alternative medicine, all sorts of alternative medicine, in an article I found in the archives. Now, it's good to see that the UFO movie They Don't Want You to See has now cracked the 1 million views on YouTube. And congratulations to Brian Dunning. If you haven't seen it, well, they don't want you to see it, so maybe you should see it anyway. That's enough for me. It's time for me to keep walking around this interesting neighborhood here in Oakland, California. And while I do that, what will I look for? I wonder what I can find down here. I think there's a nice ice cream shop. Yeah, I think I'm sitting right opposite Fenton's Creamery. I better have a look. While I do that, I hope you enjoy the Skeptic Zone. Well, here I am once again in beautiful uptown, downtown, somewhere in Berkeley, California. And I'm with the one and only Dr. Eugenie C. Hi, Jeannie.
Hi, good to see you again.
Thank you. Yeah, it's always wonderful to come back and visit with you. And we have all sorts of adventures, don't we? We tend to have adventures.
Yes, which will not be broadcast on.
It's one way to say it for another day. Jeannie, I'm very excited to hear that once again, SkeptiCal convention is coming up.
Yes, indeed. This is going to be our 13th SkeptiCal, which is pretty great.
Yeah.
And you know, SkeptiCal is not your typical skeptics conference. When we first started SkeptiCal, which was back in 2010, we wanted to do something different. We wanted, first of all, to have a conference that was really affordable. And we made the decision to have to use local speakers, so we weren't paying for people's transportation and stuff like that, putting them up in hotels and all the rest. And of course, the lovely thing about being in the Bay Area is you have so many talented people at universities and businesses and tech firms and so forth that we have had for years and years a really good population to draw from. So cheap, good people. And we also wanted to do the people and topics that, as was the slogan of one of our conference themes, not your usual skeptics. And we've tried to do that. We did have a little bit of a hiccup during COVID.
Well, didn't we all? I mean, that knocked a lot of things around. I mean, speaking from experience in Sydney, Skeptics in the Pub, for example, that meant a dramatic change for those years for us. And we're still trying to find our feet after all that.
I think that's true of skeptics organizations around the world. Yeah. In the case of SkeptiCal, which is the Northern California Skeptics organization, Skeptics Conference. In the case of SkeptiCal, we decided to do it online rather than in person. Now, that did allow us to still keep it cheap because you don't have to charge. In fact, it's cheaper than it had been when it was in person because we're not paying for a hotel. I mean, we're not paying for a venue for the speakers and all that. Very affordable Skeptics Conference. Also, being online meant that we can really branch out and get talented people from around the world. Literally, we've had people speaking from Great Britain, from Australia, and all over the United States, which, of course, you couldn't do in the old SkeptiCal days. The trade-off, of course, is that you're not in person, and, we're all wrestling with that. Being in person is great. But being able to have a really stupendously great conference with stupendously great speakers is also pretty good. So, whether we'll go back to in-person or whether we'll remain streaming, we'll make that decision every year.
Yeah, but of course, looking on the rosy side of things, the glass half full side of things, an online convention means the whole world can join in.
Absolutely, and that is really worth something. And of course, anybody can look at our last couple of conferences on the Bay Area Skeptics YouTube page and see what kind of things we've been doing in the past. But one of the things we really have stressed at SkeptiCal is to try to be innovative. Do things that other skeptics organizations haven't done before. I mentioned that we try to have topics and people that aren't usual guests or topics at skeptics conferences. We had a session in our last SkeptiCal about the comedy of skepticism. This year we're doing one on the music of skepticism.
The music of skepticism. There's only one name that springs to mind instantly when I think of those two things would be George Hrab.
Guess who's going to be on the panel?
Well, there you go.
Exactly. We do fun stuff. We were the very first skeptics organization to do a virtual reality component to our conference. We had Skeptics in the Metaverse in our last SkeptiCal. And so you would be able to attend this online conference, but you could attend it through the Skeptics in the Metaverse portal, and you could bring your friends, and you could watch it from there and, chat and be in a virtual reality, even if you weren't in a physical reality.
And shoot aliens at the same time, maybe.
I don't think we had it set up for that, but that was pretty cute. This year, we have another innovation, which is I'm very excited about. David Allman-Smith of Bay Area Skeptics has been working very hard on global Skeptics in the Pub.
Oh, yes.
We are going to start Global Skeptics in the Pub on Friday night, July 19th. The conference is from the 19th through the 21st, beginning with Global Skeptics in the Pub, with a New Zealand Skeptics, 7 o'clock local time. They will go online in a coordinated Zoom fashion, and then it will pass on to the next time zone, and the next time zone, and the next time zone.
Through Australia, then around Hong Kong, and around Asia, India, into Europe. Yeah,
got it.
Very interesting idea.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I mean it's going to be a fair amount of work to pull it off, but we're going to work really hard on getting that done because I think it would just be a real trip to say, well, it's 10 o'clock my time. I wonder who's on Skeptics in the Pub, and find out that you're talking to somebody in, I don't know, Perth or so, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm very excited to say, especially for our Australian listeners, and this might be a great reason for you to get your virtual ticket for SkeptiCal, is our very own Dr Karl Kruszelnicki is taking part.
Oh, yeah. I'm so delighted he's going to be with us. I've been a fan of Dr. Karl's for decades now. He's really great. He's going to be on a panel that we're calling Media Literacy and the TikTok Generation. He's got, several 100,000 people.
Yes. A huge amount of followers, yeah.
Internationally. I mean, he's just got enormous. This is a guy who knows how to reach people of all ages. Yeah. And he's really good at it. And we've chosen other people on that panel who are good at what they do, and just to talk about this very important issue of how do you reach younger people who get so much of their entertainment and even so much of their information from social media. How do you make them more critical thinkers? How do you make them more media literate.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be a very interesting panel. If you want to know more about SkeptiCal, you can go to our website, which is live, and you can see all of the speakers and panels and panelists. Go to skepticalcon.com.
skepticalcon.com. Link in this week's show notes. And what are those dates again, Jeannie?
From July 19th through the 21st, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, beginning on the 19th with Global Skeptics in the Pub, and the speakers and panels will be performing on Saturday and Sunday, the 20th and 21st of July.
And that will vary a little bit depending on what time zone you are around the world, but I'm sure our listeners can work all that out. Well, there's your clue, folks. Jump onto the website, have a look, buy your tickets and be part of this wonderful online skeptical convention. Well, Dr. Eugenie Scott, a pleasure once again to see you. And I think we're going to a party this afternoon. I'm looking forward to that.
We're going to a very special party, a very unusual party, and it'll be much fun. There'll be a lot of little people there.
Yes, and cakes and cookies.
That's right. It is a graduation party, shall we say, for 4-year-olds. So,
on that note, thank you very much.
G'day, Dr Karl here, popping up on your beloved Richard Saunders podcast, inviting you to follow me on TikTok where things are much faster. And it all has to happen in a minute or less. So, why do diet drinks get you drunker? For example, a rum and diet cola versus a rum and regular cola. Why do we hear the ocean in a seashell? Is coffee good or bad for you? With regard to farts, what happens when you hold them in, and why do farts smell worse in the shower? And the old wooden spoon, as used in cooking, does have a very porous surface, so in terms of bacteria, is it safe to use? And of course, we all know that destiny shapes our ends, but so do the natural electrical fields that we generate, and marijuana munchies might be related to a 500-million-year-old mutation that makes eating enjoyable via our natural cannabinoids that our body makes. Just follow me on TikTok at Dr Karl, DrKarl, to find out the answer to all these questions and more.
Hello all, this is Rob Palmer. I write for Skeptical Inquirer as the well-known skeptic. This week on the Skeptic Zone is part 2 of a series of interviews with people who attended the inaugural Skepticamp in Raleigh, run by the Triangle Skeptics of North Carolina. This event was held on May 25th, which happened to be Towel Day. This time I talked to skeptical investigator Kenny Biddle, who did a talk, and attendee Jane Selkie.
It's Sunday, the day after the one-day Skepticamp in North Carolina, and you may be able to tell from my voice that I did a bunch of talking yesterday. It's a little bit hoarse, but I wanted to interview another speaker, and we're sharing a 6-bedroom house here in North Carolina. So here is somebody who Skeptic Zone listeners might recognize. Say hello.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
So Kenny did a talk yesterday, and you want to tell everybody what you talked about?
I talked about investigative strategies for solving mysteries, for investigating mysteries, and it was kind of a team building exercise, because with these groups coming back together, when we're getting more groups across the country that are coming together in person again, I have a goal of getting those groups involved more with not only the local community, but the media. Because, I mean, when we have Halloween coming up and we see all these fluff pieces about haunted houses and stuff,
yeah.
It's always ghost hunting teams that are interviewed. And I really would like to pass on some knowledge and tips and tricks and skills that I've learned so that the local skeptic groups can also get in on that and contact these news agencies and say, hey, we have an opinion on this. Let's give you some. Let's give you some opinions.
Now, you came down actually on business, right? This counts as part of your official job as the skeptical investigator, the chief investigator for CSI.
So yeah, it was. I was asked by Susan and Jeff, who runs the Triangle Skeptics, if I would come down and promoting science, critical thinking, and skepticism, and of course the Center for Inquiry. So yeah, this is part of my job, to be able to reach out and do some outreach with the local groups.
So what did you think of how they pulled it off? Because this was the first time here.
I thought they did an excellent job. With a very short amount of time, they were able to pull together a really cool lineup of speakers with different backgrounds and different topics. We covered a lot, and it went off without too many hiccups. I mean, there were a little here and there, but we all came together. We got everything fixed.
What was your most surprising presentation that you didn't expect what you saw from somebody?
Coleman Watts. I was really surprised with that. I've known Coleman for, maybe like 2 or 3 years now. He interviewed me for his YouTube channel, and that's how I heard of him, and I enjoy his videos, but he has a background in theater, and he brings...
That really came out.
It really came out.
Have we ever seen anybody at Skeptical Conference put on a beard and do...
He went into characters, and I mean, it was just not just putting on a mask and trying to change his voice, but he got into it, like entire body mannerisms and everything. I mean, it was wonderful. I was thoroughly entertained.
So the official conference is over. All the speakers went yesterday, but we have one more activity today that is happening. What are we doing today, Kenny?
So today we are visiting the Mordecai House, and allegedly it's the most haunted place in Raleigh. And Jeff thought it would be a cool idea to have just a informal...
And Jeff is who?
Jeff is the main guy for the Triangle Skeptics. I don't know if he has a title or not, but he's the main guy. That's who we talk to, and he's super nice and awesome, and I love the guy.
Yes, he is.
But yeah, so he thought it'd be cool to have an informal field trip for today to wrap up for anyone that's staying behind. Like some people left today or on their way home today, and some of us are leaving tomorrow. So for those of us that are staying, we're going on a little field trip. So we're going to check it out. We're going to take a guided tour of the place, because it is the oldest building. It predates Raleigh itself.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, so we're going to take a guided tour, learn the history of the place, and maybe ask about the ghosts.
This is guaranteed to be haunted, right?
I'm not going to go that far. I'm going to say that there's stories out there. There is an official ghost hunting team for that. They do have stories about a stairway ghost, a piano that plays by itself. There's also one of the ghosts, which was a former resident of the house. Apparently, if you say something rude about her, the picture of her that's in her bedroom will knock over.
Are we going to be able to try that? Can you test that?
I think that's a testable claim. I mean, once we find the picture, and I know what it looks like, so we'll find it, and we will say some rude things to see if we can get it to fall over.
Cool.
I have done it once, years ago. I was here and I tried it, and it didn't work. But
the ghost probably was just on vacation or something.
Probably. I mean, or, I have a habit of scaring people when I say, hey, I'm a skeptic, and the ghosts run away. So
I'm going to be very curious as the guided tour goes on if the tour guide says something that makes it sound like the paranormal is absolutely real, and they know that. I'm going to look at your face and see what happens.
Okay. Feel free to take a picture.
All right. One person who came to this, who is not a speaker and is staying with us in North Carolina, is Jane Selkie, and I'd like her to introduce herself to the Skeptic Zone listeners and to give us a little understanding of why she came from the other side of the country and what you got out of the conference.
Hi, Rob. I happened to know some of the people here, and I had the opportunity to come, and I wanted to visit with them, but I also have a little bit of experience going to other Skepticamps, and I knew that it would be a valuable experience since I had the opportunity to not only hear some great talks and get together with some people that I know, but I know it's always a valuable experience to meet new people and get to know the broader community, so I wanted to take advantage of that.
But you came all the way from Oregon. Right?
Oregon, yeah. I just happened to be in Tennessee, the next state over, spending some time there, taking care of some family business. The dates coincided. It was a 5-hour drive away, so I thought, why not pop over to Skepticamp? It'd be worth my while.
So how was it worth your while? What did you really get out of the conference? What did you like?
You know, a lot of people come for the talks, and I can't deny this was, without a doubt, the best Skepticamp that I've attended so far. Everyone that I've been to has been extremely valuable. All the speakers that I've seen at every Skepticamp have been excellent, but each one raises the bar a little higher. And this one, all the speakers were top-notch. All the talks were outstanding. Everyone gave us food for thought.
What was the most unusual one that you didn't expect to be the way it was?
I really liked Susan Gerbich's talk because what Susan talked about is Wikipedia. And she talked about people who in our minds are rather obscure, people that we don't know about, who have made incredible impacts on our lives that we are not aware of. So she went through the process of Wikipedia editing and how Wikipedia editors identify people who have made a difference in humanity and how they take either non-existent pages or pages that are incomplete and they create pages or edit them to really showcase and complete the information, to bring forth the complete information about what an individual contributed to our world that has really made an impact and changed our lives forever. But the other thing, in addition to the talks, that really attracted me to come here is getting together face-to-face with other people that are part of the skeptical community. I really like to renew my friendships face-to-face with people that I know, get to meet with them and interact and socialize. But I also like meeting new people. It's really important to me to see the community grow. I like seeing new people come in and get to meet them, find out what brought them here and interact with them and encourage them to come back. And so I think socializing and interacting and building the community is even maybe a little bit more important to me than the talks themselves.
And today we're going on a tour of a supposedly haunted house. I have never done that. Have you ever done that?
I went on a tour of the Winchester Mystery House in San Jose on a recent Skepticamp visit.
I believe that may have been covered on the Skeptic Zone.
It probably was.
Because Adrienne was involved with that.
That's exactly right. And I went on a tour of the Winchester house with Adrienne, and that house is supposedly haunted, or there's spiritual activity there, and supposedly was spiritual activity that instigated Sally Winchester to do some of the things that she did. And I want to say, by the way, that everyone should read the Wikipedia page on Sarah Winchester in order to get the true story and understand that she was a really fascinating woman who was not crazy and she was not under the influence of ghost activity.
And who was it that reconstructed that page to correct the record on Wikipedia? Who was that?
That was Adrienne Hill, and I want to say you can always count on Adrienne to get the story straight.
Okay, thank you very much, Jane.
Next week, in part 3 of the series, I interview Faith and Romero Rodriguez, who were on the team that organized and ran the Skepticamp, as well as Melanie Teresa King, who gave a talk.
Chris, what do you call two orthopedists reading an electrocardiogram?
I don't know, Jonathan.
A double-blind study. This is the type of highbrow medical humor you can expect from the Body of Evidence, the best podcast you're not listening to.
But we don't hold it against you.
We answer the burning medical questions of the day
by seeing what the data actually says.
Because wild, unjustified pseudoscience is for the other guys.
Is it safe to take Tylenol when you're pregnant? Should we worry about microplastics harming us? Are there any dietary supplements that will help you perform better? Are the doggos all very good boys?
They are indeed very good boys.
The science on this is clear and unambiguous.
If you're getting your health advice from the Joe Rogan Experience, it may be time to come back to Earth and listen to the Body of Evidence.
Reality can be nice too. Come join us on this planet.
We also talk to experts, and there's a teddy bear.
There is. We also talk about dogs a lot.
They're better than humans.
The Body of Evidence.
Wherever you get your podcasts and at bodyofevidence.ca.
Hello everyone, this is Adrienne Hill from Skepticamp Studios in Calgary, Canada, and I'm here to yet again read the newsletter. And this is newsletter number 199, which means it's only one away from the magically wonderful even number 200. And don't forget, you can subscribe to this newsletter and get it delivered to your inbox every other week, complete with links to all the stories mentioned. But now, let's see what Tim Mendham has for us this time. Hi all, says Tim. A call to arms. As they are volunteer-run organizations, putting skeptical groups together can be difficult, even though not everyone needs to take on an activist role, and many people prefer to concentrate on Skeptics in the Pub style events, which is a great way to stay social and keep in touch. There is still a lot of logistics and leadership involved in keeping the skeptical boat afloat and sailing smoothly. To stretch the metaphor. Recently, there have been what are largely ideological ructions within the German skeptics, but fortunately, that seems to have been resolved. But in Australia, in the last few months, we have had closures of the Western Australia and South Australia skeptics groups, not to be confused with the Perth and Adelaide skeptics in the pubs. It is sad to see such long-standing bodies close, but it is understandable, as it can be very hard to regularly find new blood to feed into the system. It is important, therefore, to put our critical thinking caps on and see how best we can ensure the skeptical message is as widely and effectively distributed as possible. Your thoughts and volunteering would be welcome. Read on, Tim. Okay, Tim, I'll do just... Oh, what's this? Tim says, your newsletter editor is going on leave for a few weeks, so we're going to have to miss one issue of the newsletter. But have no fear, the next one will still be numbered newsletter number 200, so there will be celebrations and champagne all round. And that's bring your own champagne. Well, enjoy your time off, Tim, and I'll look forward to reading newsletter number 200 in a few weeks. Skepticon 2024, Sydney, November 23rd through 24th. We have an update on speakers. Satirist and media presenter Josh Zepps will head up a Skepticon panel looking at the bright side and positive aspects of scientific wonder in an age of misinformation and conspiracy. Other members of that panel will be announced soon, but look out for some celebrated names. Also panelizing are proponents and skeptics of the paranormal, and some leading podcasters who will perform before your eyes and with your help. And that's just some of the features. Skepticon 2024 will run from November 23rd through 24th at the Guthrie Theatre, University of Technology, Sydney, with an opening function at the Occidental Hotel in York Street, Wynyard, on the evening of November 22nd, the Friday preceding the convention. Tickets for the convention and the program of speakers will be available in July. The wellness industry can be unwell. Making up an industry valued at $4 trillion, and that's with a T, $trillion, The wellness economy often provides unproven alternatives to consumers who want to engage in health beyond conventional healthcare, creating a breeding pool for pseudoscience nutritionists, health scammers, and certain wellness influencers to deceive vulnerable victims. This article appears in High School Insider, a product of the LA Times, which features user-generated content that enables high school students to post their stories and report on issues that matter to them and their communities. This article is by a student from Princeton High School. And speaking of high school students, Skepticon 2024 will feature a special session devoted to students who will present on their award-winning projects. And I think that is such a fantastic idea. I think we should be doing more of this. Perilous Gurus of Online Psychology. Social networks are full of false gurus who claim to be experts in mental health and well-being. Do we need new laws against these kinds of charlatans to restore credibility to professional psychology? I would say yes. Spain's official colleges of psychology, quote, who unfortunately are both judge and party in the approach to pseudotherapies, end quote, get a special mention. These organizations are full of members who support and advertise pseudoscientific interventions they carry out in their private practice, such as Gestalt therapy, bio-neuroemotion, whatever that is, and Reiki, mixed with psychology. The control of the professional colleges of psychology, which is supposed to ensure empirical practice and ethical treatment, is unfortunately dreadful. The June 2024 issue of The Skeptic is out in digital format, and the hard copy will be in the post soon. It features a look at pre-Darwin evolutionaries, those who predated the most famous exposition of the theory of natural selection with pronouncements of their own. We also look at the checkered history of Alfred Russel Wallace, the fellow traveler on the road to that same theory, but whose heritage was tarnished with strange ideas. The issue also features a discussion on the reality of toxoplasmosis. What role for cats? A pseudo-archaeology pioneer with an evil twist, the Havana Syndrome scare, a Swedish pseudoscience of character assessment, and much more. You can read that article on Wallace's Woo in the preview of the June 2024 issue, which is available on our website. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time to do so. You can sign up for a hard copy or digital edition or both, since the digital is offered free to those who take up the hard copy version. New subscriptions start with the next issue, but you can also order a copy of the most recent one as a treat. Contact the editor if you're not sure if your existing subscription needs renewing. Items of interest. Shock, horror, panic. The UK is running out of ghosts. Paranormal expert and author Dr. Paul Lee believes the UK has been running out of ghosts as aging spirits are currently dormant or have moved on to the other side. However, don't fear or say silly things like shock, horror, panic. Dr. Lee, who holds a PhD in nuclear physics, offers a glimmer of hope. Quote, it may be that ghosts can be recharged, end quote. Oh dear. Travel tip. Monster-themed Airbnb. Moth Manor, a cryptid-themed B&B in Oak Hill, West Virginia, even includes an escape room, as you would need if attacked by sheep squatch. The house is decorated with all things monsters. The owners took inspiration from West Virginia-specific cryptids like Mothman, which I've heard of, the Flatwoods Monster, the Grafton Monster, and Sheep Squatch, most of which are unfamiliar to us and to me. But also monsters in general. Quote, guests can expect to see aliens, giant squid, and Sasquatch, end quote. They also have a Harry Potter-themed house and another devoted to board and video games, including a Monopoly board driveway. don't pass go. Hunters spiked by a psychic. A man from Wales, quote, who just wanted to kill some wild pigs in the Forest of Dean, end quote, has alleged that the illegal hunt went sideways after he and his friends had their whiskey spiked with acid. And that's presumably the drug variety, by a psychic called Steve. Quote, originally, Indiana Jenkins told us Steve was a necromancer, end quote. Explained semi-professional long-distance runner Johnny Turnip, quote, and that we needed his blessing to hunt wild boar or risk the seventh torment, end quote. The story also involves Big Tony and Puerto Rico Paul. Unfortunately, the story ends on a cliffhanger. Quote, to be continued, end quote. Perhaps to explain if this whole story is just a silly leg pull. Disappointing ghost story. Ghosts spotted haunting historic cemetery. Well, they would, wouldn't they? A New Hampshire woman had online paranormal buffs quaking in their boots after seemingly spotting a ghost in a graveyard on a popular mapping service. Quote, I think I might have just found, like, a ghost or Google Maps' first ghost, end quote. The footage's uploader, Amy Pendleton, intoned in a suddenly viral TikTok clip that shows all the alleged map apparition, Jam Press reported. Personally, we think it's a blurry image of someone as the Google Map person on a bike with a camera passed by at some speed, possibly frightened of ghosts. But do we like the neological term map apparition? And I say, definitely. Again, with the silliest story of the week. Will this woman never stop? She just gets better and better. Singer Brocard, who is becoming a fixture in this spot, adopted a possessed clown and is now using her new psychic powers to learn that the clown hates Beyoncé, but loves Eminem. She met the doll after connecting with him when spending a night at the Clown Motel in Nevada. She then brought it back to the UK, where it immediately made her ex-husband, who is a Victorian ghost, jealous. Brocard uses her paranormal abilities to connect with the clown and decipher its music tastes using divining rods. No comment is necessary except to say that there is an actual clown motel, and their website seems to have been designed by said clown. Well, this was definitely a Skepticamp newsletter, so I think it's time for me to run upstairs to take my doggo for a walk. And there is no need for a toque, at least for today. Until next time, this is Adrienne Hill.
Hello, everyone out there. Thank you for coming to our service.
Yes.
We are ready to heal you. We are Ross and Carrie. We are faith healers. Yes, you there.
Yes, sir. You have a spirit of
not listening to enough podcasts.
We have the solution for that.
Oh, we can cure you.
You should listen to Oh No, Ross and Carrie. Hallelujah. It's on Maximum Fun.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you there. Gladys.
A spirit of boredom?
Oh my goodness, we have the solution for you. It is to listen to the podcast
Oh No, Ross and Carrie.
Now it's time to go back to those digital archives, no matter where they are, and sometimes physical archives, as in newspapers and magazines and so on. And when I say physical, normally what I do is I go and find microfilm of old newspapers and so on, but sometimes Sometimes I actually take copies of the real deal. Old magazines, old newspapers, old journals. Today, I'm once again I have my finds from the State Library of New South Wales on their microfilm when it comes to the pages of the Sydney Morning Herald. And you'll often find me in the bowels, the lower level of the State Library in Macquarie Street in Sydney, going through the film archives, the microfilm archives of newspapers. They've got a big room with those machines you put film in and you spool them through and you scroll through the pages until you find the article that you're interested in. And this week we're interested in, once again, claims or stories relating to alternative medicine. And this process today has landed us, to begin with, in the year 1981, on the 27th of August, in the pages of the Sydney Morning Herald, an article by Jill Margot, As Medicine Lost the Art. Many natural therapists believe that interest in alternative forms of healthcare is growing in Australia because people are dissatisfied with orthodox medicine, an explanation that is not accepted by the Australian Medical Association. But as the demand for natural therapies grows, so does the controversy over the training and registration of practitioners. The Herald's medical reporter Jill Margot reports. And bearing in mind this is in the order of something like 42 or 43 years ago. Many of the growing number of natural therapists in Australia believe naturopathy would not exist if orthodox medicine were effective in curing illness. In the past 10 years or so, Australia has seen a tremendous increase in the interest in alternative forms of healthcare, which natural therapists say is partly because of the dissatisfaction with orthodox medicine. They say their patients feel that the art has gone out of the art of medicine. Their patients say of orthodox medicine that the disease, not the person, is treated. Consultations are brief, there is no compassion and no personal interest. In short, medicine has become too commercial and the empathy has gone. It's rather a broad brush to use, I think. Mr. Russell Atkinson, the managing editor of the quarterly publication Nature and Health, claims that people are realizing that the medical profession specializes in disease and not health. Okay. Natural therapies, he says, do the opposite. They concentrate on the whole person and his health. Well, that's nice for him. And that's a line that the alternative medicine people have been using for decades now, as apparently at least since 1981. For them, disease is not a morbid or negative function to be suppressed and combated. Rather, it is an attempt by the biological intelligence to produce health. Okay, then. When the government's Webb, and that's W-E-B-B, inquiry looked into alternative medicine about 4 years ago, it estimated that in 1977, 1.5 million visits were made to alternative practitioners in Australia. Practitioners now estimate that the number is well over 6 million. The Australian Centre for Homeopathy near Adelaide had 12 students enrolled 2 years ago. This year, there are 117. And I hate to be a broken record about this, but my point is always that we have decades of experience now to call upon, decades of history, and if they were studying homeopathy over 40 years ago in Australia, you would think that would be enough time now for homeopathy and other forms of alternative medicine to prove themselves to the wider scientific community. We are still waiting. Mr. Robert Zindler, the deputy principal of a major natural therapies college in Sydney, says people are turning to the natural therapies at a faster rate than the colleges can handle. He says natural therapies are inherently safe. It is very difficult to kill people with massage or good nutrition. And we are reminded of the fact that, of course, many times these therapies cannot diagnose properly, and people may miss having their cancers and so on caught in time. We read on. But he sees problems as the demand for natural therapies grows and the issue of adequate training and registration becomes more controversial. Chiropractors and osteopaths have to be registered, but people must judge for themselves the professionalism of most other kinds of natural therapies. Many forms of alternative therapy are available in Sydney, but because of the lack of the registration and the glut of training courses ranging from a weekend to 5 years full-time, it is hard to estimate the number of practitioners. Dr. Noel van Douteren, the medical secretary of the New South Wales branch of the Australian Medical Association, says that if there has been an upsurge in interest in alternative health care, it has not been at the expense of orthodox medicine. He says that a general rise in the health awareness in the community has also brought a rise in the number of people seeking orthodox practitioners. He does not accept that people are saying the art has gone out of the art of medicine. The family medicine program of the College of General Practitioners has spent a lot of time and effort, he says, teaching the art of counseling and other aspects of family medicine. And the next segment of the report is under the heading, What Natural Therapies Offer and What It Costs. Nutritional therapy. Nutritionalists treat illness with special diets and with vitamin and mineral therapy, basically prescribing a return to natural foods and those high in nutrients. According to the quarterly publication Nature and Health, nutritionalists have always honored the Hippocratic principle. Let your medicine be your food, and your food be your medicine. They treat most chronic degenerative problems, such as heart disease, arthritis, kidney and liver ailments, and conditions such as asthma and influenza. In New South Wales, only a handful of people practice nutritional therapy exclusively, but many do so in conjunction with other healing arts such as chiropractic and naturopathy. The New South Wales College of Osteopathic and Natural Therapies in St Leonards offers a full course as part of its naturopathic program, and many groups offer short courses. A consultation costs between $15 and $30. And according to the inflation calculator from the Reserve Bank of Australia, $30 in the year 1981 equals something like $140 in 2024. Homeopathy. Homeopathy is based on the theory that like will cure like. And of course, the use of the word theory here does not mean a scientific theory. It just means a notion or an idea or a forlorn hope. Drugs are administered that produce symptoms similar to those of the ailment. Oh boy. No, as we know full well, drugs are not administered. Nothing is administered by way of active ingredients. Sugar and water are administered. It uses very fine concentrations of the drug. No, it doesn't, which may be herbal, minerals, chemical, or made from extracts of insect or venom. Good grief. Homeopathic therapies concentrate on individual patients rather than on disease in general. Their remedies are used for all ailments. There are believed to be about 10 qualified doctors who practice homeopathy in New South Wales. There are probably about 100 other practitioners. Some are thought to be inadequately trained. The Australian Centre for Homeopathy offers a 2-year correspondence course, and the New South Wales College of Osteopathic and Natural Therapies offers a course as part of its naturopathy course. A consultation costs about $10 to $12, and that is something in the order of $50 in today's money. Massage. On the many types of therapeutic massage available, The one most commonly used in Sydney is called Swedish or basic massage. It uses many different techniques to manipulate the body's soft tissue to stimulate circulation, the lymphatic system, and the action of the nerves. It also softens muscle spasms. The practitioner can treat problems like strained backs, tension headaches, sports injuries, and anything involving muscular stiffness or tightness. There are countless numbers of people who practice massage. Some only offer a weekend course. But there are full professional courses such as those at the New South Wales College of Osteopathic and Natural Therapies in St Leonard's and Nature Care in Chatswood. The usual cost is about $15 for an hour consultation. And in today's money, that's in the vicinity of $60 for an hour, and that's probably about right, I think. It's been a long time since I've gone to have a nice massage, but I think that's about right. Naturopathy or naturopathy. Naturopaths try to purify the system by removing obstructions and the causes of disease. They are often referred to as the, quote, general practitioners, end quote, of natural medicine and use techniques including massage, nutritional therapy, herbalism, homeopathy, water therapy, and iridology, explained further on. Naturopaths try to treat the cause rather than the symptoms, and the patient as a whole rather than the disease. Naturopathy is used in treating obesity, disease of the small intestine, constipation, migraines, ulcers, and indigestion. The New South Wales College of Osteopathic and Natural Therapies offer a 3.5 to 4 year full-time course in naturopathy. Large numbers of people practice as naturopaths in New South Wales. It has been estimated that about 80 of them are competent. It costs between $8 and $15 for a consultation. Chiropractic. Ill-positioned joints, especially spinal joints, are believed by chiropractors to be the source of illness and pain. Their main technique involves adjusting specific segments of the spinal column by hand. This corrects the mechanical malfunctioning of the spinal column and relieves pain and disability. Chiropractors also use pressure point techniques similar to those of acupuncture and a system of muscle balancing called applied kinesiology. And of course, applied kinesiology is a completely discredited form of alternative medicine. To be quick and blunt, it doesn't work. Among the many conditions chiropractors treat, the most common are lower back pain, neck and arm pain, and a range of nervous diseases. This form of treatment is expanding rapidly in Australia, and well over 300,000 visits were paid to chiropractors last year. There are about 1,100 registered chiropractors in the country, and the 443 practicing in New South Wales are registered with the Chiropractic Registration Board. The Preston Institute of Technology in Victoria offers a 5-year full-time course for which a degree is awarded, and in New South Wales, the Sydney Chiropractic College offers a postgraduate 2-year course. After the initial consultation and x-rays, if necessary, and they usually are, the cost of treatment usually ranges from $12 to $15. Herbalism. Herbalism is a traditional healing art which uses remedies from leaves, plants, flowers, and roots. In Western society, these remedies are used for treating chronic diseases that under conventional medicine care end in surgery or are referred to as manageable but not curable, and those conditions for which drugs have dangerous or undesirable side effects. Herbalism is generally not used for treating acute, life-endangering conditions like appendicitis. Good thing, too. It can treat chronic liver disease. Can it really? It can treat chronic liver disease. Well, there you go. I'm glad we knew that over 40 years ago. Gall and kidney stones, asthmatic conditions and diseases of the digestive system. The Southern Cross School of Herbal Medicine at Gosford and the Dorothy Hall School of Herbal Medicine in Rozelle both offer 3-year part-time courses. Training is often included in other natural therapy courses. Although it is hard to estimate, there are probably about 150 people practicing herbalism in New South Wales, only about 1/3 of whom are members of the National Herbalists Association of Australia. A consultation costs between $15 and $20. Iridology. We've certainly discussed iridology on the show before, and as you know briefly, it is the erroneous idea that you can detect bodily ailments by looking at the patterns of the iris. It has been discredited and debunked for many, many years. Iridologists examine the lines and marks of the iris, the colored part of the eye, which are believed to indicate disease and malfunctions of the body. According to Dorothy Hall, who has written a book on iridology, the cells of the iris are the same type as the brain cells. She says that in the iris one can read the person's internal climate and their reactions to external circumstances. It is basically a diagnostic technique. A magnifying torch and sometimes photographs are used in the search for 3 basic signs in the iris: dots, radiating lines, and rings. It is most used for diagnosing toxic accumulations, such as in the gallbladder, liver, kidneys, lungs, heart, blood, intestines, lymph system, and spleen. Students are usually trained in iridology as part of other courses in natural therapies, and the cost of a consultation is generally included in the cost of a visit to a herbalist or naturopath. A separate diagnosis would be about $12. Acupuncture. Acupuncture is about 5,000 years old, is it? And is based on the Chinese belief that there is intrinsic energy within the body called qi, 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 located in various organs. There are also lines, meridians, of this energy running up and down the body. The acupuncture points lie mainly on these lines, which of course were simply made up. In piercing the skin with needles, the energy flow along the lines is stimulated or sedated. Practiced properly, acupuncture is preventative, not curative, practitioners say, but it can usually cure many ailments. The World Health Organization lists 48 complaints commonly treated by acupuncture, including tonsillitis, bronchitis, stomach complaints, bronchial asthma, conjunctivitis, and sinusitis. Can you imagine being treated for tonsillitis with acupuncture? Open wide! The New South Wales College of Osteopathic Natural Therapies offers a 2-year part-time course, and the Acupuncture College in Paddington offers a 4-year part-time course. Excluding medical practitioners who have trained as acupuncturists, there are about 500 practitioners in New South Wales, and it is estimated that over 30,000 visits are paid to them monthly. A treatment lasting an hour usually costs about $15. Osteopathy. Osteopathy is similar but broader than chiropractic because it concerns itself with the whole body, not just the spine. It is based on the theory that the structure and function of the body are interdependent, and that if the structure is altered, the function immediately alters as well. Disease is seen as a perversion of either the structure or the function. So I wonder what they think of germs and bacteria and so on. The osteopath believes that through a thorough understanding of the structure of the body, he can so influence it that normal function will return. Osteopaths manipulate the spine and other joints and frequently use other naturopathic techniques such as massage. Osteopaths do a full-time professional course, and before they can practice, they have to be registered with the New South Wales Chiropractic Registration Board. There are about 111 osteopaths registered in New South Wales. courses are offered at the New South Wales College of Osteopathic and Natural Therapies and the Sydney Chiropractic College. Cost for a treatment varies between $8 and $15. So there we go. Has medicine lost the art? An interesting roundup of natural therapies from over 40 years ago. And what I find interesting is that there's no hint of critical analysis. It's almost like the writer here, Jill Margot, was simply reading off the back of the information flyers from these various organizations. Not a hint of critical examination or questioning of these claims. But you too can find out about all sorts of claims from the past when it comes to all sorts of things when you go to Trove at trove.nla.gov.au, or your local library, or maybe you find a magazine down the back of the couch. Because when you go there, you never know what you might find. Thank you for listening to the Skeptic Zone podcast this week, and thank you to those people who support the Skeptic Zone via Patreon or PayPal. And an extra special thanks this week to the people who have increased their monthly contribution and who have sent me especially generous contributions. I am very grateful, and you'll be hearing from me soon. Coming up on next week's show, Are Skeptics Happy? Are Skeptics Happy? Tim Mendham will look at this question in the Book of Tim. And also more interviews from the Triangle Skeptics, and I think we have some interviews from Adrienne Hill from the event held a couple of weeks back in Albuquerque, New Mexico. All that coming up next week. But for this week, from Piedmont Street here in Oakland, this is Richard Saunders signing off.
You've been listening to the Skeptic Zone podcast. Please visit our website at www.skepticzone.tv for episodes and show notes with links going back to 2008. You can follow the Skeptic Zone on Facebook, X, TikTok and YouTube by clicking the links at our homepage, together with links to support the show financially via Patreon or PayPal. The Skeptic Zone is an independent production. The views and opinions expressed by our guests are not necessarily those of the Skeptic Zone podcast or any other skeptical organisation.
And is based on the Chinese belief that there are... Maybe that's an acupuncturist now. It's a new way to do it, just bang in the nails.